When you think of Hall effect keyboards, you probably think really expensive, but today we're gonna prove you wrong.
Today we have 5 keyboards, $50 or less, that are Hall effect keyboards, and it's gonna save you a lot of money, and I'm excited to show you how awesome they are after a word from today's sponsor.
Got your gaming setup or home office all dialed in but forgot one key piece? If you're gearing up to stream, work remotely, or jump on video calls, the right webcam is a must, and that's where eMeet's Pico Plus webcam comes in. The eMeet Pico Plus is a high-performance 4K webcam supporting ultra-high-definition video, and its 2 dynamic AI-powered camera lenses on the Pico Plus optimizes facial exposure and imaging effects. It's also got a magnetic privacy cover that's shaped like a panda, which in my opinion is a really nice touch. And did we mention it comes in 3 stylish colors? Choose between white, black, or refreshing mint green to match up your setup perfectly. One thing that's often overlooked in webcams is sound, but not the Pico Plus. This webcam has 3 sound modes, and you're hearing one of them right now. In this mode you're hearing from right now is noise reduction, and the last one is live streaming, which sounds just like this. It's pretty impressive for a 4K webcam that has a pretty good amount of capabilities in it. The Pico Plus is compatible with all the major video platforms, including Zoom, Discord, Microsoft Teams, Slack, and so many more. Ready to take your video calls and streaming to the next level? The eMeet Pico Plus webcam has everything you need, from stunning video quality to intelligent performance, plus a stylish look that fits your space. You can check out the eMeet Pico Plus by using the links in the description down below. So big thanks to eMeet for sponsoring today's video. Now, back to you, Matt and Jackson.
So for those of you who don't know what Hall effect did, is the latest and greatest innovation in keyboard technology. Rather than having your standard switch that has a leaf and a stem that can wear out over time, you have a Hall effect switch, which basically uses a magnetic field to detect the position of the sensor. And what's really cool about this is you can change things like actuation height. You can make it to where you have like a 0 to 100, almost like a controller or an analog switch.
And because of this technology, these keyboards tend to be quite expensive. As you see right here, we have the EWEADN HE, which does retail for $175, which is quite expensive for a keyboard. But in this video, we have keyboards that in theory should be the same in terms of the key Hall effect experience, but for $50 or less. We gotta open it up and see if they're actually competitive with the EWEADN keyboard and if they're worth your money. Let's go and dive into the first keyboard.
First up, we have the EWEADN Battle68 coming in at $50, and this one's pretty cool because you can get it on Amazon.
That's gonna be the fun thing about these keyboards is some of them are from AliExpress, which is kind of a place you would normally get budget keyboards like this, but Amazon also has them as well, which makes them much more accessible to everyone.
Nothing like super fancy, but it is covered, and it looks like it's in one piece. That's the biggest key here, one piece.
And to go over the key specs of this keyboard, now that we've unboxed it, it is a 65% keyboard with an 8,000 hertz polling rate with 0.125 millisecond latency. It does have adjustable actuation point from 0.1 millimeters to 3.6 millimeters, an aluminum plate and hot soluble PCB, and Arctic magnetic switches. And it does use web-based software, which we will talk more about the software and how we're going to showcase these keyboards later.
And you'll notice in the box, we do get a detachable USB-C cable. We have a switch puller as well as a keycap puller. And then we get some extra switches here. And this is the really cool part about magnetic switches. You'll notice that there's no contacts in the bottom because it's fully magnetic. So that's nice. There's less things to break, like when we're building Zach's keyboards.
I'll be curious to see with these keyboards. Every single time I've tested a Hall effect keyboard, I've loved the features and functionalities of them, but they don't feel as great to type on as a normal high-end keyboard that we've tested here in the past. You feel like you're getting a little bit of compromise there, but I may be wrong with these keyboards.
And on the bottom, we got dual height flip out feet. We have some anti-slide pads. We got the detachable C there. Of course, not wireless. We'll check backlighting here in just a second. But yeah, these switches sound pretty nice. So ready to plug it in? Already very impressive. This is definitely, compared to the first Hall effect video that we did where they were all, what, $100+? This is already much better than most of those keyboards were.
Yeah, it's definitely better bang for it. It's crazy how fast this moved, the technology at least, but to be fair, the technology has been around for a really long time and in theory shouldn't be very expensive for people to produce. So now that these companies are picking them up, you'll have way more options on the market.
All right, well, yeah, I think, and it feels pretty sturdy too, I gotta say. It's not super bendable or anything.
Now, one thing that's important to mention before we plug this one up, take a look at the software and everything, is a lot of these keyboards do come with a lot of awesome features like rapid trigger. We will be diving into those on a technical level here in today's video, but what we will be doing is giving you a brief overview of the software and what you can do with it, and then give you all our general impressions of gaming on the keyboard to see if we notice a major difference between all of these, and more importantly, see if they compete with the higher-end keyboards with Hall effect switches. Let's go ahead and move this one over to our test station and see how it performs.
So for the EWEADN Battle68, the software is really easy to use and access. The UI is quite basic but very straightforward. In the software, there are 19 preset RGB options along with full customization of all the lighting. You're able to record and set macros, and beyond that, there's fast trigger options, SOC-D, Rappy Snappy, DKS, and dual click capabilities.
All right, guys, so we're now testing out the EWEADN Battle68, and I gotta say, this is a really good keyboard for 50 bucks. So Normally the $50 price range when we're on Amazon, we're getting, you know, the other brands like Yunzi and stuff like that, EPO Maker, maybe not even quite that. And I will say, I think the keyboards, you get a little bit more physical features like the volume knob and stuff like that, but that's really about it. Build quality wise, it feels just as nice as one of those. And then obviously, I feel like you're getting a really good value just having these magnetic switches. The software wasn't too bad. The fact that it's web-based is pretty cool, and it seems to work really well. I gotta say, the RGB is really bright too. Even though the RGB is not shining through the keycaps, just the backlit of the PCB area itself looks really good. It shines through really nicely, even with this pretty high lit area, and the keyboard itself feels really good. The stabilizers are great. There's no rattling, no weird sounds really.
It's a nice keyboard. I will say, just looking at this feels like a keyboard that somebody who's really into like modding and like just modifying their keyboards would really have fun with this. You could do a lot of different stuff. The RGB is really bright now that I'm seeing it. I don't daily drive a Hall Effect keyboard, but this one is, I would say, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is one that if I'm just generally feeling it, like just typing and everything, yeah, I mean, I would be fine daily driving this even if I'm not gaming. That's always been my major concern with these keyboards. So yeah, this feels pretty good. Obviously, this is the #1 option because we don't have any other ones. But if you guys want to hear what it sounds like typing wise, we're going to go ahead and transition to a little typing test, place this one at #1, and then move on to the next keyboard.
Coming in at 40 even, we have the Ajazz AK820 Max HE for Hall Effect. I like the box. It has a little bit more design to this one. There's I think that's a cat riding a missile. I see why Zach picked this one.
That cat's got a blast.
Ooh, this one already kind of looks a little bit more like one that we would normally get. It's funny, I just complained. I was like, you know, the other one's a little more basic. I kind of like having like the volume knob in this one. Got it.
Okay, so this is a 75% keyboard with an 8,000 hertz polling rate. The adjustable actuation point goes from 0.1 millimeters to 4 millimeters. You can't fully verify this due to software issues, which Zach will talk about later in this video. It does come with an aluminum plate and hot swappable PCB, and the switches are unknown.
Unknown, okay. I'm probably not gonna get one of these off my finger, but you know, we'll go over what all it comes with. So, detachable USB Type-C cable, which is conveniently in the box.
Kind of basic.
Yeah, we got a keycap and switch puller, which I'm gonna go ahead and pull one of these off just because I'm kind of curious before I forget. All right, so we got a box switch.
Have we held this up to a magnifying glass?
It is in fact Ajazz brand. I'll go ahead and pull it out just so that, you know, we can show you guys that it actually is Hall Effect. Breaks the switch. So look, we don't got any stems or anything like that. No contacts, so it is in fact Hall Effect, or it's not gonna work at all. We'll find out. But I gotta say, I like the design of this. This is just personal preference. I'm not a big fan of like the all plain black keyboards. I do like the look of this one a little bit more. It does have the volume knob. It's a little bit larger. This one's more of a TKL layout. It does also have the dual flip out feet, anti-slide. Like I said, detachable USB-C, which is on the back there, and pretty good build quality. This one feels a little bit heavier than the last one, and it's also bigger. This one is aluminum plate. I'm guessing we got same kind of, it's RGB, so probably same 16 million color RGB. We'll find out here in a minute.
We'll see here. Let's get the first impressions on the type. Well, that's totally different than the last one. This one, this reminds me, we'll do a little more comparison later on the video to the Wooting, but this reminds me more of the Wooting. It's a little bit more subtle. It is a little bit tighter, is the best way I could say.
It reminds me of like a Cherry MX Black switch, you know, kind of heavy, linear, but I like how this one feels so far.
So let's go ahead and talk about the software and dive into testing on it.
There is like no software that we could actually get working. There's multiple places we can get it from, but every single one either doesn't work or is so sketchy and we can't read it. So here we are. The good news is Matt and I, we're not really software guys. We're more of the usability kind of guys. So as long as you're not worried about changing anything on this keyboard as of right now, I really do like these switches. This makes me think of back in the day. I remember Zach was always trying to search for that really quiet keyboard, and this one is just, it's when you're gaming, you can barely hear it. It feels really good. The switches are kind of heavy, but I personally kind of like that. I think this one's overall pretty good. We got to take away some points though, of course, for the software issue. I'll be curious to see what Matt thinks about that. I would say for me right now, if the software did work, I would put this one slightly above the last keyboard, but without the software, it might have to go #2.
I will say I like the switches of this keyboard better than the first one. This feels like a higher quality keyboard and the price isn't that much different. So yeah, this one's cheaper and feels, I would think, better. Like that space bar, that just sounds really nice. It's a really nice keyboard. But again, we were just talking off camera. If you're buying a Hall effect keyboard, like if this was just our normal roundup where we weren't worried about the Hall effect features, it would have been like, wow, this is a nice keyboard, it ranks very high. But the fact that the software seems incredibly sus, we have all these issues with it, and we can't take advantage of the Hall effect features to change actuation, you're just kind of like, well, what's the point? So I feel like that's a pretty big hit on this thing. Like, it's a nice overall keyboard, but what do you think, Jackson? Do you think this one ranks below it because of that?
I feel like we need to be fair for all the people who are going to be. Zach made a good point where he's like, if you're a Hall effect nerd or a peripheral nerd, you're going to want the software to work.
Yeah, so I think this has to rank below it, and unfortunately, it might rank pretty low compared to all the other ones because of that software issue. So hopefully, that is something that can be resolved. But right now, it has to go second, and we'll give you all a typing test, though, to wrap it up so you guys can hear what this thing sounds like, because I do think it sounds a lot better than the first one, and then we'll go to the third keyboard.
Next up, we have the Akko Monsgeek FUN60. This is gonna be exciting at 30 bucks.
So yeah, our cheapest keyboard in this roundup. It's kind of crazy to see a $30 Hall effect keyboard. I always think back to past keyboard roundups. We'd be looking at a very horrible blue switch keyboard at this point.
It just makes me feel old. I don't even know if it'd be mechanical back then. It might have been
probably
membrane.
not.
Ooh, this one's white. Ooh. Immediate point deduction. I'm just kidding. Ooh, this one's so small. Is this the same size as the first one? 60%. Just
oh wait, where's the lettering?
On the back.
Okay, it's what they call that?
That's on front facing, right?
Front facing.
So we get a white cable, USB-C, and this one's kind of cool. It's actually like fitted. I know we didn't really talk about the other ones, but a little different. Cool. Switch and keycap holder.
So this is a 60% keyboard at an 8,000 hertz polling rate. It has an adjustable actuation point of 0.1 millimeters to 3.1 millimeters. It does come with an aluminum plate and Akko glare magnetic switches. In parentheses, it says, I think.
Okay, so we'll take a keycap off, but the FUN60 Pro, it's quite a name. You know, I gotta say, I've never owned a keyboard where the letters are south facing. I think I could get used to it, but it's really odd from this angle because it just looks completely blank.
It does. I'll be able to tell a little better when I flip it the other way, but.
One thing I should talk about too is it does have the same anti-skid pads. It has the flip out feet. This one's interesting because I don't think our other ones have like the same. It's almost like a two-piece kind of deal where it's raised in one part. I think the other ones are a little more standard looking, so something to note. Ooh, it's blue. So this is Akko brand. It's a box type switch, and yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty good actually. I'm gonna pull this one out too, just because it's so cheap that.
I'm waiting for one of them to not.
I know, I'm like, I trust Zach, but I don't trust Zach.
It's all effect.
It's real. It is real. Chat, the news is in. All right, we'll go and pop that back in. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. And I can already see the aluminum. This one can definitely be confirmed.
How is this so cheap? This was AliExpress, right?
Yeah, I think it's straight AliExpress.
Yeah.
You're automatically just saving money. What happened to
That's
that?
a way of saving money right there. That thing is already breaking.
Oh, they got a little vent up there. Maybe that was me.
Okay, so this look, honestly, it's kind of cool.
I knew someone like Jonah would say that.
Oh.
Loud. But you're not getting stabilizer.
Hold on. Zach's gonna be like, you're hammering that key. Let's actually push it like a normal human being.
A little bit of stabilizer noise, actually. I can hear it.
But first impressions, I mean, it blows away any other $30 keyboard I've really tried.
I don't know,
That's really, it's really bothering me. It's
Zach's
crazy.
like, I'm never doing a video again. But we're now $20 underneath the top keyboard, which, are we losing $20 worth of features with this one? So far, I don't think so.
Well, if the software works, it's already better than the last one we looked at. So let's go ahead and talk about that software and then get to testing this thing and see if we think it's worth it.
For the FUN60, it comes with web-based software that can be found on the Monsgeek website on the product listing for the FUN60. After downloading drivers to your system, you can access the web-based software. The UI is very simplistic and offers a variety of customization. You're able to record and set macros and remap all keybinds. Beyond that, there's rapid trigger options, SOCD, DKS, mod tap, and toggle key.
All right, so testing out our fun keyboard right here. I gotta say the switch type, it's a little bit different, but it's not bad by any means. Compared to the first and second one, I would rate these at number 3 so far. But the software sounds like it's pretty good actually. The fact that it's very similar to our $50 keyboard, it's not lacking any of those features. That's probably a huge selling point for any of the people who are really looking for Hall effect where they can change the actuation, you know, rappy tappy, all that good stuff. The fact that you can do that for 30 bucks, pretty crazy. And this one is the first one that the RGB actually does shine through, especially with the south-facing characters. You can see it on both sides. It's very bright and even throughout the whole entire keyboard too. It shines off the aluminum backplate really well. So, you know, right now, I think I would put this one, I'd almost tie it with first, honestly, like first, maybe second, but see what Matt thinks.
I think it's fine. It's one of those things where the price is insane, and if you care about the Hall effect features, which is why you're watching this video, it's one of those things where I think because the software works and everything works overall, it would be a good option. And I'm just thinking from people who are trying to consider switching to Hall effect, who maybe don't want to fork over a ton of money, any of these keyboards really are great, but the fact that you can get the cheapest option that gives you functional software to just experiment with the technology and see if it's actually worth it for you is really cool. And well, because the software works, I think this one definitely gets like a 1B second place territory. But we'll do a typing test so you guys can hear what it sounds like when you're not gaming on the keyboard, when you're actually just typing on it. And then from there, I think we'll continue on, but I think Jackson and I are kind of on the same page. Second place, kind of a 1B where it's really close to the first one because of the price. Let's get to the typing test and go to the next one.
Next up, we have the Madlions MAD60 HE, which is just like Jonah's keyboard, but a lot cheaper at $40.
One thing to mention, pricing and availability for all these keyboards. Check the link in the description down below. There are affiliate links that do help us out. Best way to see where you can buy these from, AliExpress or Amazon.
And if you're wondering why I keep saying Jonah's keyboard, he bought the WEADN from us.
Oh my God, I'm already,
It has the spot for the strap.
Oh man,
But
so.
yeah, we realized, so basically Jonah's keyboard has some fonts on. If you want to actually show them the comparison here, Matt.
So we got the HE font. First of all, the name is the MAD60 HE. This is the EWEADN 60 HE. And the HE is incredibly similar.
Yeah.
There's this thing called a strap on the keyboard. It says take
my
control.
God.
What does this one say?
It even uses the screws. This one's just their brand, Madlions. It folds around.
It looks incredibly cheap compared to
this
one.
one's almost, it's not leathery like that. Is that one like leather?
No, it's
just,
kind of
oh,
like
it's fabric.
It's fabric.
Okay, this one's just a thinner fabric then. All right. Detachable USB-C. Here's the spot for a strap here. Oh my God. Why is it nicer, Jonah?
Oh, well, let's go over those specs on this keyboard. This is a 60% keyboard with an 8,000 hertz polling rate. It has adjustable actuation point from 0.1 millimeters to 3.5 millimeters, and the switches are unknown.
All right, I'm already on it. This one thing I did notice, by the way, is it does not have any flip-out feet. It's only one height, but it does have the anti-slides.
Can we just flip this over real quick?
Hey, that one didn't have flip-out feet. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow.
You almost have to wonder, are they just getting it from the same person?
I think they are.
I think they are. I think this is the same frame.
Typing test? Okay.
All right, this is the, like, we've done a lot of these videos where we're like, this one's copying this, but we never really had like exact clones. So this is something.
No, because it needs to go this way. I know that much.
Here, bro, let me help you. Let me help you.
What if this isn't hot swap? It doesn't have any
If it is
wiggle.
hot swappable, I'm just gonna say this. If it is hot swappable, it is not easy to take out. And we're not willing to make that risk right now until after we've
Let me just at least take a look. Because now I'm thinking about it, it has to come out because there's nothing attaching it. It can't be soldered if it's real. But it looks real. I don't see a stem in there. No, I mean I think it's actually Hall effect.
That'd be so goofy if they copied everything but the actual Hall effects feature.
They call it the HE, but it's not Hall effect.
All right, guys, we're strapped up now. Check it. Yeah, it looks pretty similar to the WEADN. I do think the WEADN one looks a lot cooler. This one's kind of just their branding. We were unable to verify what the actual switch even is, and we do not think it's hot swap because that sucker was not coming out without some brute force.
Which, you know, there is software that proves it is Hall effect because you would be kind of doubting it if you didn't. So we're gonna jump to that software, but I will say I'm actually really impressed with how this feels. It feels really nice, but let's go ahead and jump to the software, see how that works out, and then game on it and see if this, I was gonna call it the WEADN because it looks very similar. See if this keyboard from MAD60 HE from Madlions, rawr. Let's get to gaming.
For the MAD60, there's web-based software that can be found on the Madlions website on the product listing for the MAD60 HE. There is no direct link, but they tell you the URL, and it looks a little spooky at first, but it seems fine. UI is very straightforward and offers a variety of customization, just like all the other keyboards, and you're able to record and set macros, remap all keybinds, and adjust the RGB. Beyond that, there's rapid trigger, DKS, mod tap, and toggle key. You can also adjust the dead zone settings of switches and enable axial alignment.
I gotta say, after Zach showed us some of the software, this one has a lot of features. Jonah pointed out that it actually kind of looks like Wutility, so it does seem like this company found the most popular Hololive keyboard and said, let's copy it word for word, but make it cheaper, and by golly, I think they did it. The RGB is pretty bright. Zach put it to a mode that I don't love, but I'm not gonna hold that against him or the keyboard. The strap is cool. I could see myself locking in for a serious game session. The problem is, I don't like copycats. See what Matt thinks, but I'm gonna say second.
I like the feel of this one more. It feels like a general, just a keyboard that I would type on, have a good experience with, while also getting the Hall effect features. And I would say, I really like this keyboard because I've always liked the Wooning from the last roundup. I really enjoy the Wooning keyboard. It's a nice keyboard. Everything about it's pretty solid software and everything. So the fact that there is one for $40 is probably the most tempted I've ever been to try to drive one of these daily, because I never really cared about Hall effect too much. So I would say for this, it would definitely be one for me in that regard, especially because the price is $40. You can get so many of these keyboards for the price of one Wooning. So we're a little bit torn on if this is gonna be first place or second place. We don't really know exactly where it's gonna be, so we're gonna do a little recompare of the first keyboard and then determine that, but we're gonna do a typing test real quick, show you guys what this sounds like, and then we'll hopefully have come to a conclusion. So just feeling the number one and number two, for me personally, it's one of those things where this one's cheaper and feels better to me. So it's kind of like a no-brainer in that regard. But if someone really likes this switch sound, a little bit higher pitch, or just the sound it creates, it might be better. What are you thinking? How are you feeling?
I wouldn't even know I'm typing on a different keyboard right now. Doing this, now this, it's still, they're so ridiculously similar, I feel like. I still do not like whenever, I just wish they did a little bit more of their own thing. I feel like they did a good job. I just wish they'd taken it a little further, added some more of their own stuff besides just the strap. But I will agree, we'll call this one first. The last keyboard we have is the XVX-G75, and this is another Amazon keyboard at $43.
So I really like seeing the Amazon ones because I know a lot of you don't really like going down the AliExpress rabbit hole, so cool to see ones that are available through Amazon.
Oh. The sweet spot.
Oh, that's a big boy.
Yeah, this one is, like TKL, or maybe even, that's just TKL, I believe.
Well, how about I tell you? It is a 75% keyboard that has an actuation point of 0.3 millimeters to 4.0 millimeters, a hot swappable PCB, and Otomu magnetic switches.
Otomu?
Otomu.
Oh, a little bit more name brand, okay. The space bar.
Well, you're not doing it hard enough.
Oh. Spacebar, it doesn't sound great. I gotta say, it's very tinny. I know it's not the first impression I normally been doing with other keyboards, but anyways, what comes in the box? Braided USB-C cable. I think that's different.
No.
This is definitely different.
What in the colorful's going on here?
They give us a bunch of sherbet colored keycaps. So I guess this is just if you want to add a little bit of flair to the keyboard, but I don't know why you would do that on this keyboard.
And of course, keycap player. Let's look at the switch.
The Otomu. So we get some pink box switches that are in fact Otomu brand. Yes, they're Otomu brand. Yes. Is this one hot swap, Zach?
I think I said hot swap.
All right. Yeah, it is. Dude, I gotta say these come out easier than like any other switch. Look, this one doesn't even have any stems on it like the other ones did. It's just flat.
So it's just clipped in. Is that really how it?
Yeah, like that's like it. So hopefully that doesn't make
maybe that like causes some of the rattle potentially.
Maybe that is why our space bar is just so rattly, but it's probably the stabilizers. But on first impressions, it's pretty nice. Do we have flip out feet?
Oh yeah, so we got flip out feet. We got the non-slip pads. It looks like we have a routed USB-C. And
okay, that's just for Windows or Mac. I thought it was wireless versus
wireless would be cool, but yeah, no wireless here. But let's see. This feels good. Spacebar's fine, but it just reminds me of a more budget keyboard. Which again, we're looking at budget keyboards. This is the first time that, like, yeah, it definitely stands out. So what we're going to do is talk about the software, because that is very important for a Hall Effect keyboard. I will say this is kind of like a sleeper Hall Effect keyboard. You wouldn't think it's Hall Effect unless somebody told you it was Hall Effect, so that's kind of cool. Some people may really like that. But we'll do the software and then dive into some testing and see where it ranks amongst the rest.
Lastly, we have the XVX-G75, and this software is downloadable, and in my personal opinion, I heavily prefer web-based software for peripherals. Other than this, there is no other complaints with the software. It appears to be semi-lightweight in terms of usage while maintaining a sleek and intuitive UI. Just like the other keyboards, you're able to record and set macros, remap all keybinds, and adjust the RGB. In the software, there are settings for rapid trigger, mod tab, DKS toggle key, and a few more things.
Alright, so now on to the last keyboard, the G75. So software, this is the first downloadable software, the only downloadable software, I guess besides Wooting utility. But the software actually, I gotta say, it looked kind of nice. I don't like where Zach said he had to download it from a Google Drive folder. It'd be nice to have a way on their website. I noticed all of these just a little odd to find the actual software or the online web link, but RGB looks pretty good. I mean, it's actually really bright. It's kind of almost shining on the keycaps a little bit. I don't think this one sounds that great, if I'm being honest. It's giving just normal, like, older mechanical keyboard sound vibes. Like this, if you didn't tell me this was Hall Effect, I would think this was just a typical Amazon roundup from maybe like a year or two ago. Yeah, I mean, I probably have to say, like, I like the look of this one a lot. Vintage, you know, it's very cool, but I'm probably gonna put it in like probably like third or fourth, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Jackson. If the switches do remind me of like an old keyboard, which I guess if it plays into the whole, you know, aesthetic of it, I guess that's cool. But, you know, seeing the RGB is kind of goofy. I'm just like listening to it. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel sturdy to me. And when we're looking at a bunch of other keyboards that are at similar price points, if not cheaper, that I feel like rank a little bit better, it's hard for this one really to compete, in my opinion. The software is downloadable, which is cool for some people, but also kind of weird in other regards. It could be seen as even more sus. But if the one that I'm thinking is going to be last would be last, but it actually has functional software. And if we're talking like best Hall Effect, what, you think fourth, and then the one that doesn't have software is going to be fifth at this point? Or what were we thinking here? Because like, the only thing is, like, if we're talking like Hall Effect keyboards, like this one at least has the ability to do that. So we're going to do a quick typing test to wrap up this video, and we're kind of leaning this keyboard being fourth place mainly because it has software. If it didn't have software, it probably would be last place, just like the one that is in last place. We'll talk more about that at the end, but let's do a typing test and wrap this video up real quick.
All right, so we have all of the keyboards laid out here from first all the way to last, and of course we have the Wooting up here as well. And basically what we're saying is that all of these are pretty good Hall Effect switch keyboards. They're all very impressive for the pricing, but we think that this one right here could definitely replace the Wooting keyboard at home.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those where if you buy it on AliExpress around $40, it's really good value. You can actually buy it on Amazon, but it's more around $70. And at that price point, you know, it may not be worth it for some people, but it's still $100 cheaper than the Wooting keyboard. We're talking about the Bat68 over here. This one is a nice keyboard as well, and it is Amazon at $50. So if you don't want to deal with AliExpress, this one is also a good option. The only one we really have gripes with is really this one for the software not working. And if you can get the software working, it could be perfect for you. And this one right here is really close, being a okay keyboard that has an aesthetic that a lot of people may love and may prefer over any of these keyboards in this video. So really happy with this roundup. I think there's some really good options that make it much more easier for people to get into the Hall Effect space without spending a ton of money on a Wooting keyboard. And yeah, it's also pretty awesome that they are available to you guys using the links in the description down below. They are affiliate links and they will help us out. Which one is your favorite from this video, and are you planning on picking one up?
And as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.
As long as one of the Toasty Bros team steals any of these keyboards, they will be for sale at PCBros.tech. You can come in person, believe it or not, and buy one of these.
PCBros.tech, if you guys didn't know, we have a local store you can walk in Louisville, Kentucky, and buy peripherals, monitors, and a bunch of other stuff, along with awesome gaming PCs. If you use code ToastyBros on checkout, you'll save 3% on your next purchase. See you guys later. Bye-bye.